This shows you're not committed to our team, Lawrence said, reclining in his chair like he was doing me a personal favor by firing me. His voice was calm, detached, almost bored, as if cutting me loose was just another line item on his agenda, right after approving his expense report for the Miami trip. My name is Jared Monroe. I'm 29 years old, and I just got fired. For the last 4 years, I gave everything I had to Drayfield Robotics, my time, my energy, my weekends, my sanity. I brought in millions in revenue. Literal millions. Meanwhile, my bank account barely moved, still shopping the clearance racks like it was a sport, still driving the same 10-year-old Honda Civic my parents helped me buy when I was a broke college kid. No bonuses, no recognition that meant anything. Just a slow, soul-numbing erosion of the belief that hard work pays off. I sat across from Lawrence Bennett, Vice President of Sales, expert political climber, and owner of the kind of tan no one gets in Raleigh, North Carolina in March. The kind of tan you earn sipping cocktails poolside in Miami while your team back home burns the midnight oil-chasing quotas. He was staring at me now, waiting for me to argue, to grovel, to make a scene, maybe, but I just met his gaze and said, "I understand." His eyebrows twitched. That wasn't the reaction he was expecting. "You're terminated effective immediately," he said. "I need you to clean out your desk. April will escort you to HR for your exit paperwork." I nodded, rose from my chair, and reached across his pristine oak desk to shake his hand. He hesitated, just for a second, before accepting it. "Thank you for the opportunity," I said. The words tasted like ash, but I meant them. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe I just wanted to walk out with a shred of dignity. The walk back to my desk felt like walking through water. The kind of heavy, awkward silence that only happens in open offices when everyone knows what just happened but pretends they don't. Heads bent low, fingers tapping nervously at keyboards, but their eyes? Their eyes were on me. I could feel them, watching, whispering. I went to the supply room and grabbed a cardboard box, the smallest one they had. I didn't need anything bigger. For years of my life, and it all fit in a box smaller than a microwave. A coffee mug for my sister, a few pens I knew actually worked. The cactus I somehow kept alive under those flickering fluorescent lights. That was it. My legacy, apparently. April hovered nearby, like a hawk, keys jingling in her hand. She watched me like I might snap, steal a stapler, maybe set the place on fire. Never mind that I brought in over $2 million in new business last quarter alone. $2 million, and now I was being monitored like a shoplifter in a department store. On my way to the elevator, I passed Tyler Davis, my direct supervisor, king of empty promises and recycled excuses. The same man who assured me more than once that my raise was in process, that it just needs Lawrence's sign-off. The man who took credit for half my deals without so much as a thank you. He stepped out of his office, didn't even meet my eyes. "Be sure to turn in your badge at security," he mumbled. Then he turned and disappeared like the coward he was. I stepped into the elevator, badge already in my hand. As the doors slid shut, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirrored steel. I expected to see anger, bitterness, regret, but I didn't. I looked lighter, like I'd set something down, something I didn't even realize I'd been carrying for years. I started at Drayfield right after college. State school business degree. Decent GPA. Nothing flashy, except I knew how to talk to people, really talk to them. I knew how to listen, how to figure out what someone needed, and then give it to them like it was their idea, all along. My dad used to say, "A good salesman sells products. A great salesman solves problems." He would know. 30 years in pharma sales, missed birthdays, missed baseball games, but he always made sure we never missed a meal, never felt the weight of bills. When I landed the job at Drayfield, he was proud, said it was a solid company, said it had potential. I believed him. For a while. The first 2 years, I gave it everything. 60-hour weeks, late nights, early flights. I learned the ins and outs of industrial automation, built relationships with manufacturing clients all across the Southeast. Won Rookie of the Year. Then top performer. I thought I was building something. I thought it would matter. But then I watched Tyler get promoted over me, even though my numbers were double his. More management experience, they said. Then I watched him get credit for the Westbrook deal, a client I'd nurtured for 6 brutal months. Then came the company car. Then the meetings I wasn't invited to. The emails I wasn't copied on. The whispers. The slow erosion of value. Not because I wasn't good, but because someone else played the politics better. It wasn't one big betrayal. It was paper cuts. Small, invisible wounds. One after another. Until suddenly I was bleeding. And now here I was, standing in a half-empty elevator, cardboard box in hand. Fired. Forgotten. Free. Or maybe, just maybe, finally awake. I kept my head down and did what I'd always done. Worked. I worked through the noise, through the long hours, through the silence that followed every small win. I kept delivering, kept showing up, without complaint or hesitation. And I didn't stop until last month when I finally closed the Abbott manufacturing deal. $2 million. The biggest contract our company had landed all year. I'd flown to Chicago 3 separate times, all on my own dime because the company couldn't justify the expense. Not once did I hesitate. I worked through weekends, missed my cousin's wedding, and gave everything I had to make it happen. I believed it would mean something. I told myself it would be worth it, that someone would see, that someone would care. When the contract came through, Lawrence took the team out for celebratory drinks. Everyone went except me. No text, no call. I only found out the next morning through a flood of smiling Instagram posts. I stared at those pictures far longer than I'd like to admit. Still, I stayed quiet. I convinced myself it wasn't personal, that maybe it was an oversight, that maybe next time they'd remember. Then, for the 3rd time, I worked up the courage to ask Lawrence about a raise. I rehearsed what I'd say, tried to sound confident, but not entitled, hopeful, but not desperate. He looked me in the eye and said the timing wasn't right, that the company was restructuring compensation packages. I smiled, nodded, said I understood. That night, I opened my laptop and updated my resume for the first time in 4 years. My hands shook a little as I typed. A week later, Vanessa Mills, an old client from Drayfield who had since moved to Revlon Publishing, messaged me on LinkedIn, "We should catch up." We grabbed coffee. I almost canceled, but I'm glad I didn't. Somewhere between small talk and reminiscing, she mentioned they were looking for someone to lead their new business development division. Someone with strong technical sales experience. Someone like me. I took one vacation day. Just one. A single day I'd earned just to go to that interview. I wore my best suit and kept it quiet. I was cautious. But someone saw me in the lobby of the Rowland building and told Tyler. That was yesterday. I spent nearly an hour sitting in my car after security at Drayfield took my badge. Just sitting. The air conditioning hummed softly as I stared at the building where I'd poured for years of my life. For years of early mornings and late nights. For years of being told I was part of the family. That they'd take care of me. That if I just hung in there, it would all pay off. My phone buzzed. A text from Tyler. "Sorry about how things went down. Just following protocol." I didn't respond. I turned off my phone and drove home in silence. Something about my apartment felt different when I walked in. It looked the same furniture, same shadows on the wall, but it felt emptier, like something had shifted that I couldn't quite name. I dropped the cardboard box of my belongings on the kitchen counter and grabbed a beer from the fridge. Then I sat on my couch and did something I hadn't done in what felt like years. Absolutely nothing. No emails to answer. No late-night proposals to review. No unread Slack messages lurking. I just sat there, drinking, watching the soft afternoon light crawl slowly across the living room wall. Around 7 p.m., I turned my phone back on. 3 missed calls from my parents. A text from my sister asking if I was okay. Apparently, Tyler had called her, looking for me, which I didn't even know was a line that could be crossed. Then an email came in from Vanessa. "Can you come in tomorrow? 10 a.m. The team would like to meet you." I replied with one word. "Yes." Then I called my parents. I told them everything. They did you a favor, my father said when I finished explaining. Not the response I'd expected. How's that? I asked. They showed you exactly who they are, he said. No more illusions. No more guessing. Now you know. He was right. All those times I'd made excuses for them. All the self-blame. Maybe I wasn't visible enough. Maybe I wasn't strategic enough. Maybe I just hadn't played the game well enough. All the times I swallowed my pride and kept moving forward, believing loyalty still meant something. It didn't. Not to them. I was fired for taking one earned day. One day to look for what they were never going to give me, a future, respect, fair pay. My mom got on the phone. What do you need, honey? Want us to come down this weekend? No, I said, and suddenly I felt crystal clear. I'm okay. Actually, I think this might be the best thing that's ever happened to me, and I meant it. For the first time in a long time, I felt something I'd forgotten how to feel. I felt free. That night, I slept better than I had in months. The next morning, I put on the same suit, the one I used to save for important client meetings Lawrence always managed to steal. But this time, I looked in the mirror and saw something different. I looked ready. The interview at Rellon was better than I could have hoped. They'd already done their homework, called my references, even spoken to clients like Abbott. They didn't need convincing. They already knew who I was, and more importantly, what I was worth. They offered me the job on the spot, Regional Director of Business Development. Double my old salary, plus commission. I didn't hesitate. When can you start? Vanessa asked. I smiled. Immediately. By Friday afternoon, the contract was signed. I started the following Monday. They gave me an office, an actual office, with a door, a window, and a view. A company card. A small team of 3. But most importantly, they gave me something Drayfield never did. A path forward. This is yours to build, Vanessa told me. We hired you for your reputation, your relationships, your vision. And for the first 2 weeks, it was everything I'd hoped for. I dove in, learned the systems, met the team, started laying down a strategy. I even sent connection requests to my old colleagues from Drayfield. Most accepted. A few message congratulations. Tyler and Lawrence didn't respond. I didn't care. I was too busy finally being exactly where I was meant to be. I'm ready, Kevin replied. But we need to. Be smart. These people won't go down without a fight. That night, I called Vanessa and explained everything. This could get messy, I warned. I understand if Rollin wants to distance themselves. Her response surprised me. Distance ourselves, Jared. We hired you because of your integrity. We're not just going to support you. We're going to help you end this. Drayfield has been operating unethically for years, hurting the whole industry. It's time someone stood up to them. For the first time since this began, I felt like I might actually win. The case broke wide open faster than anyone expected. With Kevin's evidence and Rollin's legal resources, we didn't just file a countersuit against Drayfield. We took everything to the Securities and Exchange Commission and the State Attorney General's office. The investigation moved quickly. Bank records were subpoenaed. Witnesses were deposed. Former employees came forward with their own stories of manipulation and fraud. 3 weeks after our initial filing, federal agents walked into Drayfield's headquarters with warrants. I wasn't there to see it, but Tyler called me that evening. They took everything, he said, his voice hollow. Computers, servers, files. Lawrence was escorted out in front of everyone, the CFO, too. I said nothing. I've been suspended pending investigation, he continued. They're saying I could face criminal charges. You probably will, I replied, but your cooperation will count for something. A week later, Drayfield dropped their lawsuit against me. 2 days after that, their stock plummeted when news of the fraud investigation hit the business press. Former employees began filing a class action lawsuit for unpaid commissions. Clients started jumping ship, unwilling to be associated with the scandal. Through it all, I kept my head down and focused on building my division at Rollin. I didn't give interviews. I didn't gloat on social media. I just did my job. Then one morning, I received an email from Lawrence's personal account. We should talk. I can explain everything. Meet me for lunch. I forwarded the email to my attorney without responding. The next day, the Business Journal published a story. Drayfield Robotics CEO and executive team stepped down amid fraud allegations. There was Lawrence's photo next to a quote from the board chairman. "We are cooperating fully with authorities and are committed to making this right." I closed the browser tab and went back to work. 3 months to the day after I was fired, the court ordered Drayfield to pay me $147,000 in back commissions plus damages. The check arrived by courier the following week. I didn't cash it immediately. I just set it on my desk and looked at it. Not because I needed the validation, but because I wanted to remember what it had cost to get here. The truth. 1 year later, I stood in front of the Rollins sales team, presenting our quarterly results. We doubled our division's revenue, expanded into 2 new markets, built a reputation for honesty and transparency with our commission structure that was attracting top talent from across the industry, including 3 former Drayfield employees who'd been part of the class action settlement. The news about Drayfield had faded from the headlines. Lawrence and the CFO had taken plea deals. Tyler had avoided jail time by cooperating with prosecutors, but his career in sales was effectively over. The company itself had been acquired by a competitor at a fraction of its former value. I rarely thought about any of them anymore. After the meeting, Vanessa pulled me aside. "Board approved your promotion to vice president effective next month." I thanked her genuinely, grateful but not surprised. We built something real here, something that worked. That evening, I drove to my parents' house for dinner. They'd moved to Raleigh 6 months ago, partly to be closer to me, partly because my father was finally ready to retire. He'd followed the Drayfield story closely, more invested in my vindication than I was sometimes. "Proud of you, son," he said as we sat on his back porch after dinner. "Not because you won, but because you did it right. Didn't let them make you bitter. Didn't let them change who you are." I nodded, watching the sunset through the trees. "It was never about getting back at them." "I know," he said. "It was about the truth." We sat in comfortable silence for a while. "So," he finally said with a smile, "Vice President, huh? Does this mean you're finally going to buy a new car?" I laughed. "Maybe, but I think I'll keep the Honda a little longer. It reminds me of something important." "What's that?" "That the fastest way up isn't cutting corners. It's building something that lasts." My father raised his glass. "I'll drink to that." So did I.